Welcome to Brainstorms. I'm Anna Tizard, award-winning dreampunk and deeply weird fantasy author. And yes, that's me and my fiction that's deeply weird. Explore and imagine with me the most unexpected story ideas using the surrealist word game of Exquisite Corpse. Find out more and join in at annatizard.com. This is a storytelling challenge unlike anything you've tried before. Hello, imaginative people. I'm Anna Tizard, and this is episode 49 of Brainstorms. Are you ready for some new story ideas and writing prompts? Because I have a sack full today. Or I should say, a sock full. 3 socks full. But before we even get to the socks of destiny and some brand new story brainstorms, I have some brilliant ideas to share with you, sent in by listeners who responded to my writing prompt suggestion from last time. I love that this is becoming a more interactive show, getting your imagination involved to spread the wonder, the weirdness, and the fun. Let's get on with the show. So, in episode 48, the phrase I picked out as a suggestion for you to ponder and brainstorm was the frozen chaise longue. Did I get some answers? Oh yes, I got some answers. Shane Thomas said, "Those that sit on it, their hearts harden against love." Such a powerful idea wrapped so succinctly into a single sentence. So the chair casts a kind of emotional or psychological spell on the person that sits on it. It feels like a fairy tale, but one that could go in so many different directions. Eric Montgomery said, "An eccentric family finds a frozen chaise longue, unwittingly unleashing a curse that blends horror and comedy into their snowbound estate." This feels like the tip of an iceberg, or I should say the tip of a frozen chaise longue, a glimpse of a much bigger, complex story with a lot to it. Actually, this works really well as a blurb on the back of a book. Nick Vracar said, "New maid to an eccentric and prolific writer who hasn't written anything for years, discovers that when sitting on the chaise longue in the writer's office, the only item she's instructed not to touch, that time is frozen." That could lead to all sorts of things. Again, it's a lot to do with your choices of characters and how they relate to each other, and what it would mean to this maid for time to become frozen. An intriguing idea. Alessandro Bozzo said, 3 heroes set out to find a dwarven mine that contains an ancient relic that will save their village. When they arrive, the mine and the dwarves are encased in ice. The source of this mystery appears to be emanating from a frozen chaise longue in one of the living quarters. There's a mystery to unravel here. Again, it feels quite fairy tale, but with a totally different feel to it. Bobble Bardsley said, "The protagonist arrives home to his igloo, doffs his heavy fur coat, and reclines comfortably on the reindeer pelts that cover the frozen chaise longue. Night is setting in, and there will be fresh snowfall by morning, but he's warm and safe right now, which is rare in 2050 London." Haha, a futuristic twist there. A single chair becomes a symbol of a huge catastrophic change. D.W. Davis said, "On a dreary winter morning, after a night of freezing drizzle, I carried my coffee cup out to the sunroom and glanced at the patio. There sat the frozen chaise longue, waiting patiently for the sun to release it from its ice crystal prison. I was intrigued by this description, and I think it might have been the only one I received in the first person. And so I had to ask, do you have an idea why it is frozen as well? DW replied, "It is coated in ice left behind by the freezing drizzle, which makes it powerless to transport those who sit on it to the places they dream of. Only when the sun warms it will it become capable of carrying them away to meet their destiny." I love it. I think this is the one suggestion that turns the chair into a form of transportation or a portal. And you know I love portals. And finally, Alex R. Carver said, "There were many mysteries surrounding the body in the restaurant's walk-in freezer. Who was it? How had they died? And why was their last expression one of horror? But the greatest was, why was the body posed on a frozen 18th century chaise longue?" So here the chair becomes a very weird focal point in a murder mystery. Perhaps this ghoulish detail befuddles the investigator throughout the story, but then becomes the clue that causes the whole set of events surrounding the murder to eventually unravel. Wow, so many different ideas. It just proves the power of our unique imaginations and how diverse everyone's perspectives are. I'm really sorry I couldn't read everyone's ideas out because there were just too many in the end. But thank you to everyone who participated. It's so good to be able to collaborate a bit more and make Brainstorium a story brainstorming playground. Of course, the level of interaction of today's show is up to you. Once more, I'll pick a word combination from the game results today at the end. Not that you need to listen to my suggestion. If you're feeling inspired, if anything during the brainstorms sparks off your imagination, just pick up a pen and press pause. And you know I'll be using the pause button. I always do these days. And jot down a phrase or an idea that occurs to you. You never know what it might grow into. Okay, time to bring forth the socks of destiny. And as regular listeners will know, Exquisite Corpse mixes your words into a sentence that goes describing word, noun, action, describing word, noun. So let's see what the describing word sock has for us today. The first word is from Robin the Mail Lady, enticing. Okay, the noun sock. This is from Wade B. Ward, extraterrestrial. We have an enticing extraterrestrial on our hands. Ooh, that is quite strange. And our action is from Eric Montgomery, devoured. Oh my. Okay. Another describing word. This one is from Elena Dennison. Crooked. Okay. And our final word to complete the Exquisite Corpse is from Alessandro Bozzo. Acrobat. Okay. So I'll just read out the entire Exquisite Corpse. We have the enticing extraterrestrial, devoured, the crooked acrobat. This sounds bizarre, colourful and yet violent all at once. I'm I'm not used to writing about aliens, but I'll give it a go. An enticing extraterrestrial. I'm not sure I can go for the usual little grey man, unless he has powers to change form and can disguise himself as an attractive human, or find some other way to be enticing to the acrobat. The word crooked, even though it's meant for the crooked acrobat, it's making me think about the word crooked. Same spelling, but the idea of a crooked finger, enticement. I'm imagining a packed circus audience, a nervous acrobat readying herself for her act high up on a platform, just hidden behind a curtain edge. What if the reason she ends up crooked is a horrible injury because of an accident? An accident caused by something amiss. From a crooked finger in the audience, a strange, enticing figure, she can't help straining to snatch a better look at him before she takes her deep breaths and jumps across to her partner who's swinging from his feet, ready to catch her. But it's no good. She's distracted. Something about that man in the fifth row, his hat askew, his eyes bright, expectant, his finger beckoning, flashes across her vision, and she slips. The fall leaves her broken, screaming in pain. Colleagues rush forward, take her away on a stretcher, smuggle her away from the gasping audience. But much later, after the doctor, her trainer, and her fretting friends and colleagues have all gone to bed, she lies alone, a crooked acrobat. From the shadows, a hand curls around a curtain edge. Okay, this is the moment for horror fans to step in. How does he devour her? Are there suckers that grow from his head? Does he peel back his human disguise to reveal a fanged mouth on legs? You could go to town on this. Maybe you should, if this is sparking off an idea for you and this is the kind of thing you want to write about. I'm wondering, I just jumped straight in with my initial mental image of the circus and an acrobat about to fall to become a victim. But you could take either character on their own and develop them first, completely separately, before having them meet. In what ways could an extraterrestrial be enticing? In the context of a circus, might this be a new act? A competitor, it might seem, to the long-standing acrobats who's worked in the circus for years. A kind of intruder in disguise. And how else might the acrobat be crooked? A criminal? Stealing from a colleague in the circus? Hiding a secret that might be its downfall? Develop the two characters separately and then arrange their meeting and decide how exactly the enticing extraterrestrial devoured the crooked acrobat. Lots to play with there. I do love circuses as a setting for stories, and this one could be extra wild. Right, I think it's time for another Exquisite Corpse. Let's see. Our first word is from Anonymous, pedantic. Okay. Let's get a noun to go with that. This is also from Anonymous. Staircase. Oh, I do like that. It's weird enough for me. Let's try for an action. This is from Alessandro Bozzo. decanted a bottle of wine for. Right. Let's try for another describing word from Anonymous again. Musical. And our last word, our final noun, is from Eric Montgomery. Preacher. Okay, let's just read the whole thing out. The pedantic staircase decanted a bottle of wine for the musical preacher. Of course it did. As I say, I love the idea of a pedantic staircase. I think maybe it's because it reminds me of the estranged stairwell, which haunted me enough to write Eye for Immortality, the second book in my series, in which a portrait seems to come alive. It was, of course, part of a full Exquisite Corpse that went, let me think, the lofty portrait of my grandmother rapidly salivated at the estranged stairwell. But sometimes I still feel I could do something else with that estranged stairwell. But I digress. Here we have a pedantic staircase, a different kind of personality as far as stairs go. Now, I don't always go in for making an actual character out of an object. I usually find another way to interpret some of the weird word combinations that come up. But there's something about houses or parts of houses that I can more easily imagine having consciousness or awareness, a sense of self. It's a bit like a haunted house, except there's no separate spirit that's impinging upon the space, intruding upon it. It's the house itself, or a part of the upholstery, that is a being in its own right. What could you do with that? I think it's time for some green tea. Do you agree? This has been brewing for a little while. Let's just give that a little stir. Right. Right, time for ideas to just pop into my head. So how can a staircase be pedantic when you stop in the wrong place? Not strictly in the centre of the step, it creaks. Not because it's old wood, but because, well, you should have known better. Or it's watching you and doesn't think it's right that you should be going down the stairs right now. Not wearing that. Not in front of these elegant 19th century hand-carved banisters. Or it's watching the movements of the master of the house. The staircase doesn't trust its master. I imagine it's waiting to prove that he is not master at all. But looking at the other part of the Exquisite Corpse, decanted a bottle of wine for the musical preacher. It sounds like a spillage, a very large spillage, if it's something the staircase has done. It can't be decanting in the usual sense of the word if a staircase has done it. And an entire bottle. This musical preacher displeases the house. Why would that be? An unwelcome guest. The house watches and listens. Through the tiny crevices in the brickwork, the gap between the rickety windows, it breathes, a whistling sigh. At the sound of the jangling doorbell, the master of the house jolts from his armchair, the book he's been reading having nearly slipped off his lap. Master indeed. He can barely work the toaster. Since the lady of the house passed away, he is an empty shell, shuffling around in his dressing gown. The gaps in his soul might whistle louder than the roof if the wind blew hard enough. The lady of the house, now, she was the one with the social prowess. She understood the ways and whims of the parish council, and the ones who came knocking, urging them into discussions about new plans, new charities, schemes to improve the area. Thinly disguised plots, always trying to get a piece of Holmstead House. The master is old and childless. He has no one left to leave it to. Now that the lady's gone, the doorbell jangles more often, and there is no one to charm these people out of their arguments, their proposals. But what is so special about this house? The master pushes his glasses back up his nose and hobbles to the door. The hinges whine as if pained by the movement. On the doorstep stands a tall, hunched man holding a Bible and a meek smile. Musical preacher? Could that be a more modern style of preaching in a church where they use upbeat music, guitars, keyboard, even drums, breaking with the old-fashioned traditions of the local area that's steeped in history? Aha! And that could be what the pedantic staircase, as a part of that living history, may be disgruntled about, disapproving of. I still haven't quite got to the grips of what is special about this house. Could there be treasure buried under the staircase? Could it be that the master of the house doesn't know about it, but the secret has somehow got out right under his nose, and he's bombarded with pleas to pledge the house to a local charity that's really after the treasure under the stairs once he's gone? Maybe he almost gives in until the staircase starts causing mayhem, spilling large quantities of wine. Maybe frightens everyone away, making them believe that there's a poltergeist in the house. I think there could be something in that. And I also think it is time for one more Exquisite Corpse. Okay. Our first word is from Anonymous again. Saucy. Take that how you will. Next is from Robin the Mail Lady. Starfish. Okay. Not quite sure where this is going, but let's keep going. Our action is from Anonymous again. Stole. Right. Our next describing word is from Paul Benfield. Yellow. And final word is from Wade B. Ward, social media ID. Petrified forest. Oh no. Okay, let us compose ourselves. Altogether we have the saucy starfish stole the yellow petrified forest. Okay, to start with, the saucy starfish, it's making me think of, it must be some kind of logo or emblem that winks. But a logo for what? It feels like a food joint for some reason. And a petrified forest. I think when a volcano erupts and obliterates a whole area, a forest and all the flora and fauna, the fossils left behind will sort of freeze the past in sort of compressed patterns and colours. Yellow might be included as one of those colours. It's kind of like a natural museum of what once was. The stories of the forest are frozen, preserved in those layers and patterns. Actually, this is making me think of a museum. I think this is probably because there aren't any petrified forests that I know of in the UK that you can go and visit. So the most likely place I would come across this sort of stuff locally would be in a museum like the Natural History Museum in London. But how could a saucy starfish steal the yellow petrified forest, even in that context? Someone steals a fossil from a museum dressed as a starfish. But why? Why would they do that? I guess if they were dressed up to be part of a children's party, to lead a group around the museum, but it does seem like a really cumbersome outfit to wear. And you'd really stand out. What if she's a children's entertainer and she's part of a new hired act by the museum for its new mini theatre for the younger kids, and she has to sing a song along with a man dressed as a shark, someone dressed as a clownfish, and I don't know, a crab or something. It's a little piece about what creatures did or didn't live in the sea and in rivers millions of years ago. In fact, now I think of it, some of the most ancient species are sea creatures. So that kind of works. Kind of. But why would she steal a piece of petrified forest when she's in there? And why would she be so desperate to be this sneaky, actually getting a job as a children's entertainer in order to do that? Maybe there are some fossils millions of years old and perfectly preserved that are worth millions of pounds. And this is a rather unusual heist. Or, and I think this would make it more interesting, there's some kind of secret about history that is revealed by this particular fossil. Is it something our thief has seen before? It would have to be, for her to know about it and to want it so badly. What if she is a scientist, a paleontologist, and she used to work in this museum? And through her research, through studying these fossils and pieces of petrified forest, she discovered what she believed was a handprint or a footprint of an alien. I guess we had an alien earlier, so it's got me in the mood. For a while, she kept this secret to herself, thinking that her colleagues would scoff at her and just say it was something else, simply a pattern that had been preserved and pressed into the rock. When the ancient volcano had erupted, an oddly shaped tangle of twigs or some very fine bones of a small animal, say part of a dinosaur's breakfast, had been petrified into the wood in that particular shape. They just happened to be in that formation as the lava swallowed its victims. But to Dr. Fowler, as I'm going to call her, it looked like a hand. Not a human hand. She ran her finger over the shape, the tiny, intricate knuckles, the intelligence in the crook of the fingers, frozen by time. She tried to move on from these studies, to brush it off as entirely unlikely, ridiculous, but she couldn't. The imprint of this hand in the fossil was just too perfect. It was like another life form reaching across millions of years to touch her hand to hand. She told a colleague. He didn't laugh, he just tried very hard not to pull a face. It was worse than if he'd said out loud what he was thinking. At least be honest with me, she thought. Tell me what you really think. His silence was louder. She knew he thought she'd lost her senses, lost the plot. She told another colleague, then another. Rumours abound. Eventually, she was called into the director's office. She stuck so hard to her belief that she ended up being fired. But now she has found a way back into the museum, dressed in a garish, some might say saucy, starfish suit. There are secret pockets hidden under the lower spikes of her star sleeves. She's hoping that no one will recognise her. The security personnel at the front desk are distracted, struggling to keep straight faces as they wave metal detectors over the brightly coloured plush suits of a cartoon shark, a clownfish, and a starfish. No, Dr. Fowler thinks as she submits to their searches, I have nothing in my pockets yet. I've got to get hold of that fossil. I'll show the world what I've found, and the world will never be the same. Who will try to stop her? Who will believe her? Who will mock her? There's a lot to explore here. Right. Which word combination shall I suggest for your feedback this time? I think I'm torn between the pedantic staircase and the enticing extraterrestrial. So pick one. Which is your favourite? What would a pedantic staircase be? What would it be like? Or what is your definition of an enticing extraterrestrial? What would they get up to? If you fancy sharing an idea on the show, please drop me a line at anna@annatizard.com or click the contact button on any page footer at annatizard.com. I'd love to hear from you. In fact, next time will be extra special because it's the 50th show and Brainstorm's 2nd anniversary. I literally cannot believe I've been doing this for 2 years. And it's so bonkers. So I will be doing a brief roundup of some of the weirdest, funniest and best Exquisite Corpses that have come up on the show since it began, before I move on to the usual story brainstorms. Also, I'll be sharing some success stories of authors who've used Exquisite Corpses from the show to inspire their writing. Not just me, okay? So if you've had a story published or you're planning to publish any piece of creative writing that's based on an exquisite corpse from the show, please get in touch with me by the 8th of March so I can include you in the show. Just email me at anna@annatizard.com and tell me all about it. Until then, go forth and be inspired. I hope you enjoyed today's brainstorm. You can find out more about Exquisite Corpse and my series, The Book of Exquisite Corpse, at annatizard.com. Subscribe to my e-newsletter and you'll get Volume 1 for free. And while you're there, why not submit a few words to the Socks of Destiny on my play page? You may inspire me or inspire yourself to write a unique new story. See you next time.